The for sale sign went up on my lawn while I was at my husband's grave. I came home with cemetery dirt on my shoes and found a stranger photographing my kitchen. My brother-in-law called it helping me move on. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I didn't call a lawyer. I just waited for the closing because I knew one thing they didn't. My name is Ruth. I'm 61. For 31 years, I was married to a quiet man named Walter Calloway. Walter wasn't a man of speeches. He was a man of small, stubborn kindnesses. He built the window seat where I drank my coffee every morning for 3 decades. He planted a pear tree the year we moved in and apologized to it every time he pruned it. His heart gave out on a Tuesday in March. His younger brother Dennis arrived 2 days after the funeral. His wife Sandra came with him. They came with suitcases. "Just for a week or 2, Sandra said, squeezing my hand. "So you're not alone." I remember being grateful. Grief makes you grateful for the wrong people. It started small, the way these things do. Sandra reorganized my kitchen so it would be easier for me. My mother's dishes went into a box in the garage. Dennis started taking calls in Walter's study with the door shut. Then one morning I found Walter's closet half empty, his coats folded into donation bags I never asked for. "You'll thank me," Sandra said. "Holding on just hurts more." At dinner, Dennis repeated the same sentence, night after night. "Dad built this house, you know. It was never really just Walter's, it's the family's." I'd been paying its taxes for 31 years. I said nothing. Not because I was weak, because I was listening. When people think you're broken, they stop choosing their words carefully. The brochures appeared on my nightstand in week 4. Sunrise Meadows, assisted living. A community for your next chapter. Then came the realtor, a man with a bright tie, brought in by Dennis, who kept calling him the family representative and never once asked me to sign a listing agreement. That Thursday, I took the bus to the cemetery to bring Walter the first pears from his tree. When I came home, the sign was already hammered into my lawn. For sale. The listing had gone live that morning under Dennis's name as family representative. Sandra was on my porch holding lemonade. "Isn't it exciting? Dennis says we'll have offers by Sunday." A week later, they accepted one. Cash buyers, a young couple. I watched them tour my home while Dennis patted the staircase like a car hood. When the young wife asked gently whether I was okay with all this, Dennis answered for me. "Don't mind Ruth. She's emotional these days. She'll be out by closing. She just needs people to make the hard decisions for her." That was the moment. Not the sign, not the boxes. That sentence, spoken about me as if I were furniture that hadn't sold. That night I sat down at Walter's desk for the first time since March. On my key ring, between the car key and the mailbox key, there is a small brass one. Walter's bottom drawer, locked as long as I could remember. Paper worth keeping was all he ever said about it. Inside lay a cream envelope with my name on it in his careful handwriting. And inside that, a deed, recorded at the county 9 years ago. I sat there and remembered. 9 years ago, Dennis's restaurant went under, and the debts followed him home. He came to us at midnight, and I heard him crying in the study. Walter saved him, wrote a check that emptied half of what we had. And Dennis, in return, signed over his half interest in this house, the half he'd inherited from their father, witnessed, notarized, recorded. Then Walter quietly put the whole house in my name only. Protection, he called it. Walter never reminded his brother, not once in 9 years. That was Walter. "Family is family," he used to say, tapping that drawer. "But paper is paper." I put the envelope back, and I decided something in the dark of that study. I wasn't going to stop the sale in the driveway. I was going to attend the signing, sit at the table, and let the truth arrive with me. The signing was set for a Friday morning at the title company downtown, what Dennis kept calling the closing, though no deed could move without the title officer's final review. Dennis wore a new blazer. Sandra was already telling the realtor about gutting the kitchen. They needed me there to sign a few small things. Dennis put it differently. "Just sit quietly, Ruthie. It'll be over in an hour." So I sat quietly. The young couple came with their lender's folder. Pens were laid out on the long table like silverware. Then the title officer, a precise woman named Ms. Alvarez, opened her file and frowned. The small, professional frown of someone whose numbers won't balance. "Before any signatures," she said, "I need to clarify the vesting. The recorded deed does not match the seller information we were given. This property is owned solely by Ruth Calloway. Sole and separate, recorded 9 years ago." She slid one page across the table. "A quitclaim deed, Mr. Calloway. This appears to be your signature." The room went very still. The young couple looked at each other. The realtor stopped smiling. "That's a mistake," Dennis said. "Dad built this house. Walter would never." "Walter did," I said, quietly, the way he would have. "9 years ago you sat at a table just like this one, Dennis. Walter paid your debts. You signed him your half. He never reminded you, because he loved you. I'm reminding you now, Dennis, because you put a sign on my lawn while I was standing at his grave." I turned to the young couple. "I'm sorry you were brought into this. The house was never theirs to sell." Then I picked up my purse and I took my keys back from the realtor's folder. Nobody said a word. My lawyer, I did finally call one, said I had grounds: fraud, damages, a case. I thought about Walter, apologizing to a pear tree with a saw in his hand. I didn't sue. I gave Dennis and Sandra 2 weeks to pack, and on the last day I carried a box to their car myself, Dennis's childhood photographs from the attic. He couldn't look at me. Anger wants a scene. Dignity only needs a signature. And mine was already on the deed. It's been a year. This spring, I sold the house on Maple Lane, myself, on my terms, to a young family who stood under the pear tree and asked if the previous owners had been happy here. "Very," I told them. I live by the sea now, in a small cottage Walter once circled in a travel magazine. In October, the new family mailed me pears from his tree. They taste like 31 good years. On my keyring, there is still one brass key that opens nothing anymore. I keep it. Some keys aren't for drawers. Walter protected me with one sheet of paper, 9 years before I knew I'd need it. So let me leave you with his words, the truest I know. Family is family, but paper is paper. And now I want to hear from you. If it had been your home, would you have exposed them the day the sign went up? Or would you have let them sit at that table and hear the truth in front of everyone? Tell me in the comments. And if this story stayed with you, the next file is already open.